Exercise 17-15 Vertical Analysis. Janus Creations Inc. has the following data. Open up the data here. Perform a vertical analysis of Janus Creations Inc.'s balance sheet for each year. Begin by performing a vertical analysis of Janus Creations Inc.'s Design's balance sheet for 2025 and perform the analysis for 2024. Round the percent of total amounts to 1 decimal place. So we have the comparative balance sheet here. So we have the older year here on the right, which is 2024, and then 2025. But this information is also replicated over here, so we don't need this window to perform this vertical analysis here. So remember, when we're doing a vertical analysis for a balance sheet, we're comparing everything to total assets for this first section. So the total assets number is going to be 100%. And each of these portions is going to be part of this 100%. So we're going to figure out how much each one is. And in order to do that, we're going to need our calculator. And also a side note, it's going to be the same here, 100% for this stockholders' equity plus liabilities, because we're comparing each of these portions to the total number out of the assets, and then also to the total number of stockholders' equity and liabilities added together there. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking each component here and then comparing it to what percentage it is of this total base number, which is the total assets for this first portion. So for the total current assets, we're going to take this number of 42,750 and input that in our calculator. And we're going to divide it by the total of 285,000. So let's go ahead and divide that to get the percentage. So that is going to be 15%. So we can multiply it by 100 or just leave it there. So this is 15% of the total assets. And then next, for property, plant, equipment, let's have a look here. So 208,335 divided by total assets, and that amount is 73.1%. And that is 73.1 because we are rounding to the nearest decimal for this percent here is given to us here. So let's go ahead and then go to other assets. That's 33,915 and divide it by total assets again for 285,000, and that's going to give us 11.9%. So let's go ahead and enter that in. So 11.9%. So let's go ahead and take a look down next. We have total current liabilities. And this amount is actually going to be out of the total liabilities and stockholders' equity, since this liabilities and equity section, this is the total here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and get that 49,020 divided by 285,000. And that's going to give us 17.2%. So let's go ahead and then check for long-term debt here. This is 109,155 given to us here, and then we're going to divide that again by the total liabilities and stockholders' equity, and that is going to give us 38.3%. And then when we add these up, we can either do the calculation or add these through. It is 55.5% for the total liabilities. And then for total stockholders' equity, if you want to just do this one from the actual numbers given to us, we can go ahead and take 126,825 for the equity and then divide it by 285,000, our answer there. And that is 44.5%. And then also double checking our work here, we can see that the 55.5 from the total liabilities and the 44.5 from the stockholders' equity makes up that 100% for total liabilities and stockholders' equity. So let's go ahead and check our answer. Fantastic. Okay, so now they have given us the next year. And we'll go ahead and take our total current assets for 2024. So that's at 59,000. And we're going to divide it by 309,500 given to us here out of the total assets. So let's go ahead and enter that in, and that gives us 19.1% since we are rounding this 0.06 up. So that is going to be 19.1%. We have 215,000 divided by 309,500 total assets, and that gives us 69.5%, because again we will be rounding this 0.46 up. So then we have the next one, other assets, 35,500 divided by the total asset amount for that year, and that is 11.5%. And again, if you add these up, it will be 100%. That's another way to check our work, or you'll know that we are calculating each of these individually out of this total assets. So that's the other way to check. So we also know that this will end up being 100% here at the bottom. The total liabilities and stockholders' equity. And then let's go ahead and clear this out and move on to total current liabilities. So this is going to be the 50,100, and that is going to be out of this total liabilities and stockholders' equity number of 309,500. So let's go ahead and divide that to get our percentage here. So that's 16.2%. If we round that up. And then we'll do the same for long-term debt. We have 102,300 divided by the 309,500. That gives us 33.1%. And I'm just doing that in my head. You can multiply this by 100 or throw it in Excel as well. Just make sure you are rounding correctly here. So we can add these up, the 16.2 plus the 33.1 for a total of 49.3% here. Or you can take this number of 152,400 and divide them by the 309,500. That's the other way. Or to double check your work, you can do both ways. So then we finally have stockholders' equity. So that is 157,100 divided by 309,500, and that gives us a percentage of 50.8%. And we can go ahead and check our answer. Fantastic. So then you'll notice some slight shifts here in the total current assets. You'll notice that that amount went down, and then overall total assets amount also went down by a little bit here, and same thing with liabilities and stockholders' equity. It appears that those have also gone down except for long-term debt. Looks like that's increased a tiny bit on this end. But overall, just slight fluctuations here in the percentages from the year of 2024 to 2025.